Hello there and welcome back to another video, and as you can probably see by the title, this is an entire guide of how to terraform. And in this video I will be covering the main terraforming method I use for my terraforming and how to make a hill or mountain. Now all the timestamps are on screen, but you can also find them in the description together with the world download. Let's get straight into it. Alright, so first it's the main terraforming method. This method mainly consists out of 6 steps. So over here with the first step, it is what do you want to do with the area. Over here I created this kind of Minecraft terrain like terrain, and the thing is, what am I going to do with this area? Now when I terraformed this, I figured let's make this pond bigger and maybe stretch out this hill right here, creating kind of a cliff, so to speak, which is pretty small, but it's a cliff, and also with a waterfall coming from up there going into the pond. So yeah, it can basically be any idea you want, but for this example, I'm going to do that with this area. So let's move over to the second step. Alright, so the second step is getting a rough shape. So for this, you are going to build the start of your plan. And this might already seem quite advanced, but all I really did with this area was just creating a very simple shape and then adding more shape along the way, which is pretty easy to do, but yeah, might look pretty advanced eventually. But more on that with the hill and mountain making later on. Now over here I also have the block palette in place or placed out over here. The azalea leaves and flowering azalea leaves are for the bushes that will be scattered around this area everywhere. This right here is for the edges of the pond right here and on top. The grass, coarse dirt and moss is for me to texture the dirt, which is not really a regular thing that people do, but I wanted to try it once and I felt like it looked pretty good. And then last but not least, we have the stone texture right here with tough cobbled deep slate and normal cobblestone. So let's move over to the third step. Alright, so here we are, and the third step is putting the main blocks in place, but also the fourth step, working on the transitions. Now, as you can see, I've put the sand right over here on the edges and the stone, and I've also worked on the transitions, which is one of the most important things of terraforming. If you don't have a transition from going to grass over to sand or the other way around, it will look really odd. So just by adding little pieces of sand in the grass, you get kind of a transition going from sand over to grass, and the same is done here with stone to dirt. Now let's move over to the fifth step. Alright, so here we are at the fifth step, which is getting the block palette in place. Now, as you can see, all the block palette here is in place. I actually forgot to do that in the water, just noticed, but all the other block palettes are in place. We have the cobbled deep slate, the tough cobblestone, etc. But yeah, that's basically it for this. You just kind of want to texture. You can either texture by putting random blocks in or texture over a little bit of a bigger area, which is what I've seen people do with the cobbled deep slate and what I've done right here. So yeah, let's move over to the last step. Alright, so here we are at the last step, adding detail. This is the most important step of the entire process, because without detail, your build would look less good. Now, detail can basically be anything. It's slabs, staircases, these hanging roots, spore blossoms, grass, tall grass. You can put staircases right here in the sand, the buttons, as rocks. You can basically do anything you want. You can look into the decoration menu right here and go through and see what works and what doesn't. And that's also what I've done for this area right here. Now, even though custom trees are a pretty good thing for terraforming, they might take a lot of time, and so I haven't done it right here. I'm also not too good at it, but let's just ignore that thing. I've done it right here and shown that you don't really need custom trees for your terraforming. Not per se. Yes, it will look better if you do it, but that's quite a big job. And it doesn't matter extremely much without them. It still looks pretty good. But yeah, that's it for the main terraforming method. Let's move over to how to make a hill/mountain. So here we are at the first step of how to make a hill/mountain. The first step is planning. Where do you want your hill or mountain to be and how steep? The steepness is quite important. I usually start off with just one block and then kind of start going to make it steeper and steeper up to the point of where I think it's a little bit too steep and I want to flatten it because it's reaching the top. Then I slowly make it less steep and you get kind of this shape. Now, of course, with a huge mountain, this is quite different because this middle area will be much bigger than it looks like over here. But with a hill, this will kind of look like this. And yes, might just be the shape you can use. But we're gonna plan the shape out and we're gonna do that in this shape itself. So let's move over to the second step. Alright, so here we are at the second step, which is the rough shape. Now, over here, as you can see, it's all in place. What you basically want to do at like a corner, for example, is always go in by one, and this block right here, which won't be visible, you can just destroy that. And when you're going up another layer, you can go in once again. And yeah, you don't really want plateaus here, and so you want to remove that inside block. Otherwise, you're gonna get a plateau right here and it'll look a little bit off. You can work around it, and I actually have that right here, but yeah, you might kind of struggle with that, so I just advise not doing that and just remove the inner block right there. No, actually also save you blocks, so win-win situation, right? But yeah, here's the rough shape I worked with, so let's move over to the third step. Alright, so here I put the general blocks in place. Since the ground is dirt, it needs to slowly go from dirt to stone, and eventually at the top where it's dirt can be stone as well, but I like to have dirt there. It needs to go from dirt to stone as well. So I need two transitions here on both sides of the hill, and I did a main transition here to kind of slow down the process, which might have went a little bit too fast over to that side, but over here I've kind of slowed it down. I have a general point of where the transition will be, and from this I can have certain points where I will put down dirt blocks in the stone area, but I can also place stone in the dirt area, like over here. I normally go just this far because further than that might look a little bit weird, but it's possible. You can do it. But that's going to do it for the third step. Let's move over to the fourth step. Alright, so here we are at the fourth step. The transition is done and also the shaping is done. The weird shape you saw right there has now been fixed, and this is once again just by placing a block at random positions and removing them at other positions. It's basically just making the plateaus have more shape and really mixing up the shape, because that's very important. And yeah, once again I did the textures right here, and the pellet is also right here. I used rooted dirt over here together with coarse dirt, which I just broke. Very useful. There we go. And to texture the stone, I used cobblestone and tuff since, well, I really like those blocks. So yeah, let's move over to the fifth step. So the fifth step right here is detailing. Detailing really consists out of, well, putting the block palette in place and putting in slabs and stairs, as well as grass and long grass. I didn't put trees right here, but that's also possible if you wanted to. But yeah, once again, that's basically it for how to make a custom hill or mountain. All right. So that's going to do it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. I hope this helped you with terraforming. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.